Someone You Should Know. A program about people you know and even more that you don't. Hosted by Stuart Sax, veteran, husband, father, and grandfather. Now, here's your host, Stuart Sax.
Well, welcome back to another edition of Someone You Should Know. I am very, very excited about today's show because I have got a ball of fire guest that is so full of life, and it's for a very special reason because it always wasn't that way with her. And we are brought to you by, as we always are, the networking diva, Christine Dean. Remember that name. Remember the networking diva and add a .com. Visit the site because Christine is an absolute wizard at what she does in marketing and setting up your websites, helping you take your marketing plans to the next level. She can one-on-one with you. She can bring you into groups so that you can meet other people that you can network with. She is a master at putting a plan together for you, for your business, for your personal needs, and all for your social media websites and all. Christine Dean, the networkingdiva.com. Remember that. Visit her site and set up an appointment to talk with her too. Well, as I alluded, when I first met this young lady, I just could not believe how much energy and personality she has. And knowing her backstory, it makes it even more amplified. So without further ado, Cheri Carandanis, welcome to Someone You Should Know.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited for this conversation. It's going to be fun.
Well, I subscribe to a service that you are on, a podcast service and everything, and I read a little bit about you, and right away I thought, oh, she's an artist. I love artwork. I love artists and everything. But when I look at your work and realize that what you have accomplished in a span of about 6 to 7 years, it is what some artists spend their entire lifetime creating, because you weren't born to be an artist. You never planned to be an artist. In fact, your career, your original career, is so far from artwork.
Yes.
And I will share this with the people that are watching and listening too. This is an Air Force veteran. I thank you for your service from one veteran to another. I thank you, but you weren't just sitting behind a desk. You were an Air Force flight nurse. Nursing was your career.
Yes.
And all. So let's rewind before we get to the artwork part. Let's go back to Cheri as a kid, where you were born and raised, and what possessed you to say, I want to make the military, my starting point.
Yeah. I was born a military brat. So
okay,
most of my life,
it.
I swore I would never join the military. Because growing up in the military, it was great, but it's tough too. I mean, you're moving all the time, making new friends all the time. So my parents met. My dad was on his way to Vietnam, and he had to get training in South Korea. And so they met there. My mother's Korean. So I was raised in a biracial family. And so they got married, had my brother, and we grew up in the Air Force life. And we saw so much. We got to see so much of the world, and it really bonded us as a family of four, because that's kind of what you have, from place to place. I grew up mostly in England. My dad got stationed in England when I was in 5th grade, and I stayed till I graduated high school, which is really rare. Usually you're there 3 years, 4 years, and then you leave.
Right.
My dad finagled his way because my mom loved it there so much. She begged him, please, if there's any way, can we stay? And so we stayed. And it was a great life there. It was a great life.
So your dad was a career military?
Yeah. Yes, he was enlisted. He was in He did a lot of he was in the transportation squadron on the flight line, so he did all the trucks and vehicles, and then he cross-trained into the pharmacy later in his career, but he served 26 years in the Air Force, and so yeah.
Interesting that you talk about being in a flight environment and pharmacies, because all of a sudden this young lady who says after high school, ain't no way I'm going into the military.
Yes.
You end up going in the military. Was your dad still in the military at the time that you joined the Air Force?
No, he retired the year as I graduated high school. He retired the next day. So we had two big transitions at the same time. So he retired when I graduated high school. And so I went to college. I had planned on being a physician my whole life. That's what was, I don't know if it was told to me that I'd be a good doctor. And so then I just studied hard and thought I'll be a doctor. But then my sophomore year in college, I just had this moment where I thought, do I want to be a doctor? Because I knew myself well enough at that point to know I would be married to medicine. I would just throw myself into medicine and be married to it. And I knew I wanted to be a wife. I knew I wanted to be a mom. And I knew I wanted to be able to step in and out of a career. Not that physicians can't do that, because there's amazing people that do that with that career. But I just knew myself. And I think it was my intuition, because when I decided, okay, I'll become a nurse, it's the connection with the people. As a nurse, I had time to sit with my patients. I had time to really care for them and find out what their needs were, and really kind of uncover and discern beyond their medical diagnosis, what their spiritual issues were, what their emotional needs were. And I think that's the magic of nursing. I mean, it's an art. It's an art.
Well, and I mean, I think it's fair to say that today, when most people in society go to see their doctor, they probably spend more time with a nurse than they do with a doctor anyway, because it's the nurse that goes over their history, discuss their ailments, their meds, and all that kind of stuff. The doctor comes in, looks at the chart, and says, "Oh, okay, you're doing okay. I'll see you in 6 months."
Yeah.
So yes, and I mean, there are two people in this world that I have such an affection for, and that is those that are in the medical field and those that are in the teaching field, because I think that they are overworked and underappreciated and underpaid. But to think that you were a flight nurse, obviously that afforded you not only a lot of perks being in the military, but also you still had that opportunity to say, nursing has been great, but I think I still want to pursue being a doctor, but you stayed as a nurse. And how long were you in the military serving as a flight nurse?
So interestingly, when you think of a flight nurse, there is a whole category of nursing in the military that is flight nursing. I was an ICU nurse. So my AFSC, my job code, was an ICU nurse. So during peacetime and while I was stationed at home, I was an ICU nurse. What they specifically trained me for was to be a critical care flight nurse. So I got trained to travel with an intensivist doctor and a respiratory therapist and myself. We were outfitted with our gear to be able to set up mini ICUs in any opportune aircraft in wartime situations. So when I was trained to do that, we hadn't used it in a wartime situation. It was a new program. Then September 11th happened and it went live, and we got to serve as CCAT teams in Afghanistan. And it was the honor of my life. I was stretched in more ways. And I mean, when we landed in Afghanistan, I was like, I'm not trained for this. I'm a nurse. I'm in the Air Force. The Air Force is pretty, comfortable.
Right. Yeah. Well, you're never trained for warfare.
No.
because you don't know where you're going, especially the kind of warfare that we were in, because it wasn't a dividing line like North and South Korea, where you had the good guys on one side, the bad guys on the other. But the enemy was everywhere. I'm a Vietnam veteran myself, and I served in a war that was the same way. We just
Yeah.
didn't know where the enemy was.
Right.
So, I mean, all of a sudden you are just, thinking, the military is not a bad life. And all of a sudden you are just thrown into the fire.
Yes. Yes. And thank
What is
God
that?
for amazing teams and people to help and support. I felt like I was so lost. I felt really out of place, but our team was really strong and amazing. And what I learned was there weren't a lot of Air Force on that base. I was at Bagram in Afghanistan, and the Marines and the Army, they were so grateful for medical. They
Sure.
knew that if they were going to see us, that they were going to need us. And so there was that respect and that appreciation that I was so humbled by. I really was humbled by that.
Now you're a young woman at this point in your life. So, what does this do to your psyche? Now you're raised in the military, you graduate high school, you go into the military, and you've got this mindset, and all of a sudden, boom, everything is thrown against the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. It was scary. I mean, I'm living in a tent with 10 other people, men and women. We're all together as a medical team, and we're eating MREs. It's just this, and it's a constant waiting to be alerted. You're just constantly waiting for the next mission, for the next.
You're a first responder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And feeling this new role of bringing ICU level care closer to the front lines. I mean, it's exciting, but terrifying at the same time, because ICUs are very controlled environments. We have lighting, we have all of our supplies, we have all the staff of the hospital ready to support us. And then you're on an aircraft with 3 of you with these lives in your hands, with ventilators running. And it was nuts. It was nuts. But somehow, I think it was the collaboration. It was that connectedness that got us through.
I don't know why, but I'm thinking of that TV series MASH without the comedy.
There's plenty of comedy.
I'm sure you had to find that, because that was a survival tool, was to not to take everything so seriously. But so you served in the military for how many years?
6 years active duty, and then 2 years reserve.
Okay, so we're now up to, I'm doing my math, we're talking about getting up to around 2008 to 2010.
I got out in 2003. I got out in 2003.
Oh, okay. So it was just a couple of years after 9/11.
Yeah, because John and I got married right before 9/11. I mean, no, 9/11 happened, and we got married before I got deployed, because we were supposed to get married January 2002.
Was your husband in the military too?
No, not at all. Not at all. And so it was challenging. It was challenging, but he was amazing. He was so supportive, and he calls himself a war bride, which I think is hilarious.
Yes. I can understand that. Now, was he stateside the whole time that you were in the military and being deployed around the world?
Yes. He was living in Tri-Cities, Washington. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you didn't have children at that time, did you?
No. That's the reason I separated from the military. I got back from Afghanistan. John and I, we kind of went through this period of time where we had gotten married days before I deployed. And I get back, and I'm married now. I'm not living in a house, in a tent with my
or on a helicopter.
Or on a helicopter or on an aircraft. I'm in California at Travis Air Force Base, and now I have a husband, and oh goodness.
Whoa, wow.
Really crazy transition. And some months went by and I just started feeling like, gosh, I'm not getting younger. I want to have children. I want to start our family. And I was deployed with amazing women and men, but women who had to leave their children, their
Yeah.
babies, and it just broke my heart. And they were so brave, and they did what they had to do to get back to their kids, but I did not want to do it. I did not want to do it. And
And
so I decided to separate.
so when you got out of the military, did you continue into nursing?
Yes. Yes. So I did some ICU nursing, civilian ICU nursing, and then we decided to move to Portland, Oregon. That's where John's big fat Greek family lives. And so we came up here, and I had been home for about a year because we had our first son and then our second son. So I was home with them for a little bit, and then I decided, okay, I'm going to start working again. And I just knew in my heart I was done with ICU. I was burnt out. I was really burnt out of that adrenaline rushed environment. And so I just wanted to go interview for some jobs. And in the military, you don't interview for jobs, you're assigned, right? And so
Exactly.
I had
Exactly.
never interviewed for a nursing job, really. And so I just started looking on Craigslist at the time, like, I'm just going to go on some practice interviews. I don't even care what the jobs are. I'm just going to practice my interviewing skills. So I went into this hospice and interviewed. And I said, I just want to be really honest with you. I'm not here to be a hospice nurse. I'm here to practice my interviewing skills. So I don't want to mislead you. And she thought that was so funny that I would be that honest and just tell it. But in our conversation, she said, Cheri, I think you'd be a great hospice nurse. And 10 years later, I loved it. 10 years of hospice. I got my master's degree in nursing leadership using my GI Bill, and I became a hospice nurse manager. And it was amazing. It was amazing.
So really to go from stressful situations on a battlefield to stressful situations in a hospice situation. I mean, what appears to me is it was in your blood to be this kind of person. And yet I'll say it right now, folks, from watching and looking at Cheri, this is a lady who is just so full of life and such a bubbly personality. You think, why would she want to put herself into those stressful situations? But I think I understand why, because it's something that isn't here. It comes from the heart.
Yes. Yes.
So, all right. So now we're going to fast forward a little bit. And about 10 years later, we're approaching a critical time in your life.
Yes.
And folks, sit back, be prepared, grab onto the arms of your chair, because this is going to hit you, and it hit me. So please share your story and what happened, Cheri.
In 2019, I suffered 2 separate brain injuries, and they were 6 months apart, and they were both random. The first one was a result of a fall, and the second one was a result of a car accident. And, being a nurse for 25 years, I thought I understood brain injury. I understood what it's like. I had no idea. And mine was not like an open head, like catastrophic. It wasn't that. It was like my brain disconnected from my body, and I just couldn't function the way I wanted to. Right after the car accident, I had speech issues. I had mobility issues. I had a lot of vestibular issues. But through the help of my doctors, I was able to rehab those things over years of rehab. It took so long. The brain is so pliable and has that neuroplasticity, but it takes time. It's a slow healing organ. And so it was frustrating to me. I was really trying. My goal was to get back to the day before I fell. That was my goal. Like, I want to be that girl again.
Right.
And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't. Cognitively, I couldn't get back to that level of thinking, of being able to critically think, to multitask.
But Cheri, do you think that because of your knowledge and career of medicine and all that may have been part of the impetus for you to say, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to do whatever it takes to do it. While other people might say, well, I guess I just need to invest in a good rocking chair and a remote TV and live the rest of my life that way.
Trust me, I had those thoughts too. I mean, the first year I was just gung ho, like, I'm going to do this. It's going to be, it's going to be this great overcoming story. And as reality just kept punching me in the face every single day, I was realizing it's not happening. No matter what I did, no matter how hard I tried, it wasn't happening. And so in 2020, my nursing license came up to be renewed. And it was the most difficult decision to retire my license. But I knew I could never safely practice. And I would never want to put anyone in harm's way because of me or how I wasn't able to think quickly. It broke my heart. It broke my heart. So the day I retired my nursing license, I think something did break in me because it was my whole identity. I was Cheri the nurse. My friends are like, Cheri the nurse. They'll call me, they'll FaceTime me and show me a rash on interesting parts of their body. And they're like, what do I do? Give me advice. That's who I was. And not that, once a nurse, always a nurse. I believe that. I still,
of course,
his heart, but
once a veteran, always a veteran.
Right. You can't take it out of a person, it's always there. And so I fell into a very deep and dark depression, which was so foreign to me. I always was trying to be positive and optimistic, and that depression covered me like a dark, wet blanket. It just settled in, and I was terrified.
And so for what period of time were you in this low point of your life?
I would say a couple years.
Okay, so now we're for not only my sake, but for those that are watching and listening, we were at 2019 when this happened, and now we're getting to 2020, 2021. We're only talking about 5 years ago,
Yes.
people, and then there was this moment when were you told by someone that you needed to find an outlet, or did you feel that you needed to find an outlet to get out of this funk?
No, I was told, my psychiatrist at the time and my neurologist at the time said, Cheri, you're struggling to get that left side of your brain. Most of the injury was on the left side of my brain. And so they say, you're really struggling to fire that back up to where it was. They're like, let's use the good side, the right side, to help your left side get to where you want it to be. And I said, okay, that sounds great. What does that look like? What does that mean? And they said, okay, so the right side, creativity, presence, mindfulness. And I just thought, I'm screwed.
That's not in my wheelhouse.
I don't creativity, like my kids never got.
You mean something more than just putting blocks together,
right?
Or doing crossword puzzles, or jigsaw.
So I said, what do you mean creativity? Like, what do you mean? And the doctor said, you know what, Cheri, just go get one of those adult coloring books, like the patterns, the mandalas, and just see what that feels like. And I said, okay, I will do it. So I went and got a coloring book, got my coloring pencils out, and colored for 10 minutes. And every cell in my body revolted and said, no, I hate this. This is terrible. And I ripped up that coloring book and I threw it away, and I cried because I thought, I'm a terrible patient. I'm non-compliant and I'm never going to get better. Like, I can't do the creativity thing. And at the time, the one thing I could do a lot was watch YouTube. So I was watching YouTube and I saw this artist, And it just came across my feed. It wasn't anything I was searching, I don't think, at the time. And she came across my feed, and she was painting on big canvases, and she was painting abstract. And I looked at that, and something in me was like, I get that. She's painting her feelings.
Right
She's
side of the brain
yes. And
is
it
coming alive.
fired me up. I said, I want to try that. So my dad had just bought a big screen TV, like one of the big screen TVs. So I went down to his house. They live in the neighborhood. And I cut one of the cardboard sides out because canvases are expensive. So I didn't even know if I was going to like this. I just wanted to try it. So I took the canvas out. I put it on the floor in my house, and I got my kids' tempera paints from school that we had. And I just threw paint on this cardboard box, and something just came alive in me. And I hadn't felt that in a couple of years. Like, this is so good. Like, I can be mad. I can be frustrated. I can damage this. And it just feels good. And so I thought, well, maybe there's something here. And so I just kept doing that for a while. And my husband, he's the best. You would love him. Everyone would love him. He said, Cheri, there's a spark coming back in your eyes when you paint. We need to follow this thread. We need to go for this. So he bought all my paints. He bought canvases. He gave me his office. And so we turned it into this studio. And he said, just keep doing this. Keep doing this. So I painted and painted and painted. And it was horrific. Like, it was just paint.
Okay, for those that are watching and listening, and our dear friend Christine has jumped right at the right spot. It's scrolling across your screen right now, CarandanisFineArt.com. Folks, now remember, we're talking about 5 years ago that this young lady who's had this traumatic brain injury, actually 2 of them, and all, is now trying to find a way to recover, and she finds artwork. And I please, maybe Christine, let's bring it up now, because Carandanis Fine Art has morphed into a career for you in 5 years. And I am absolutely, I can't even think of a better phrase than to say blown away at what you have been able to create from this damaged left side of the brain, opened up the right side to creativity, and have created some art that is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I'm not saying that to you because you're a guest on this show at this moment, but the more I go through your gallery and look at the things that you have done, the more I kept saying to myself, this is done by someone who, 6-7 years ago was at absolutely the lowest point in their life, not knowing where they were going to be, but has found a direction. And the reason I say this to the people that are watching and listening, and Cheri, you can back me up, is that if Cheri can do this, anybody can do this.
Absolutely.
If you put your mind, you don't have to have the talent, because this was not a talent that you were born with. This was a talent that you found, developed from the inside out. And I'm sure the people that are watching and watching this scroll can see the kind of images that you have found. And there's a great picture. You are a terribly photogenic lady, I got to tell you. But you started out, you said, by painting on a cardboard box and all, and your tremendously supportive husband says, I think you found the spark that you need. Let's pursue this. And so now, how does Cheri transition from tempera paints on a cardboard box into oil paints and all on canvas? and then find the direction that you want to go with your artwork?
So I painted for a couple years at home, and it was just therapy on canvas. That's what it was. But because I love to paint so large, I don't know what it was. I felt like when I was painting really small, it just felt like, and this is why I realized I hated the coloring book, because it was coloring inside the lines. I'm not a color inside the line
Yeah,
girl.
you can see that by your work. Yeah, yeah. You're
And
not
so
you're
I
not
needed
paint by
big
numbers
space.
person. Yeah.
No, I needed the big space and the the physicality. And interestingly enough, my neurologist was like, Cheri, what have you been doing? And so I told him about my pain. He goes, inadvertently, you've been rehabbing your brain with the big motions, standing in front of a canvas for hours. It was helping with your vestibular system. Choosing paint colors, because one of my big things after the car accident was I couldn't make decisions. Like if we go to a restaurant, I didn't know what to order. I didn't know what clothes to put on in the morning. Like that part was damaged.
Wow.
And so he said, choosing colors. He goes, how do you choose colors? Like if you have trouble choosing, how do you choose colors? I said, I feel colors. I can't explain. They call that. It's like I feel them and I choose it that way. It's not like I'm going to use red and blue and green. I don't do that. I just feel them. And that's why I'm an intuitive painter, because I don't know what a canvas is going to look like at the end. And so I did this for a while, and then canvases started piling up in our home. And John was like, maybe you should sell some of your work. And I thought, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. This is
Yes.
my therapy. Who wants my therapy? And they're going to pay for it. And he's like, well, I don't know, maybe. I think people would. And so I thought, no, my dad, he was also another big cheerleader of mine. And he said, Cheri, what do you need? If you were going to make this a business, what do you need? I said, I need my studio kind of built out more. I need good lighting. I need probably take some classes so I can say I know what I'm doing a little bit. And so my dad's like, let's do that. And so he helped me in September of 23. He came and helped me build out this studio. He hung this pegboard easel so that I could put my big canvases on there. And we had the best time that week. And this is leading up to a story that kind of pushed me into the business part. So we were kind of just musing over the idea of creating a business, an art business. And I still had a lot of hesitation because it felt too vulnerable. It felt too scary to put myself out there like that. And my dad and my mom loved to go on RV trips. And so they left. So he helped me through that week. And then on Sunday, they left for an RV trip up the coast because he loved to go fishing. And on Monday, he was tragically killed on a jetty. He was fishing and a sneaker wave came and took him. And he was missing for hours. His body was missing. The Coast Guard and the sheriff, they were searching in boats and helicopters, and they could not find my father's body. And so I was trying to get to my mom to be with her, obviously. And long story short, this still is so amazing to me. 2 sea lions brought my dad's body back to the beach to where my mom was sitting waiting for him.
Oh,
I mean, it's
unbelievable.
so crazy. It's like the way we describe it is it was awesomely awful. It was awesomely awful because to lose my father like that was tragic and it was so traumatic. And he was my guy. We were both veterans and we both shared a
Right.
really deep bond together.
And this was what year?
23.
In
23. Yeah. And so losing my father, but then the sea lions. And on my website, you will see one called Ocean of Tears. And it's a large piece with a sea lion. And that piece was painted 2 days after my father died in 3 hours. And I don't know how to paint animals. What happened was I just told my family, I need a minute. There was so much going on with my dad's death and me trying to get people from Korea, New York City, everyone's coming into town for the funeral. And I was just, it was a lot with brain injury and trying to figure this out. And so I said, I need a minute. I just need a few hours in my studio to just decompress. And so they guarded the doors and let me in my studio. And I threw paint. I threw so much paint. I was so angry about losing my father. And at some point I got exhausted and I stepped back and I looked at this mess I had made and I realized it was the outline of a sea lion. And I bawled. It was too much. It was just too much. And so I finished the painting and the sea lion is just so precious. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing. And so
And
that's what,
yeah.
about a month after my father died, I just was in my grief, just frozen. Like, what do I do? I'm trying to take care of my mom, but I miss my dad so much. And then it's not this one. It's not called Thank You. It's called Ocean of Tears. You'll see it. But it's like my dad, I could hear my dad in my ear. He's like, girl, get off your ass and go do the thing that we talked about. Go do it. And I did. That night, I signed up for a business license. I started my website. I just started doing, because I needed a distraction. I needed something to work on. And it was incredibly hard because with the brain injury, I didn't know, like, can I even run a business? Like, is that even possible? But I did one thing at a time. One thing at a time.
I cannot be the only person that is sitting here thinking, I've never suffered a brain injury, but I've been challenged through my life, and to find a way, again, from getting inside the soul. It's, your eyes see things and you say, okay, maybe I can recreate that. But what you were doing was taking that brush, and that brush became an extension of your soul.
Yes.
And that is what made you, possessed you. I guess possess would be a good word, to move forward this way. All the time, I'm looking at this beautiful lady and I'm thinking, there was a time that she was in a hospital bed, just, hanging on there. You don't know, is she going to stroke out and be a vegetable the rest of her life? And you came through it because there was a lot in your psyche, I think, that helped you get through it. Yeah. But to turn that, Cheri, into such a creative outlet, and to turn it now into 2026 into a viable, gallery, business, profession. You truly, I see this cat in you. You are definitely a person that has lived through, multiple lives, like they say a cat does. Is there anything in your wheelhouse that says to you, I need to make write a book about this, or what I have gone through the process? Because I certainly hope that an awful lot of people that are watching and listening to this show will not only watch it and enjoy it for themselves, but will share it with their family and friends too, especially to those people who maybe suffer from a little bit of depression, to see how you can recreate your psyche and recreate yourself, and take a piece of paint and put it on a cardboard box and turn it into something viable.
Yes. And I really do. I mean, my faith was huge in getting me through. And that just kind of primed me into, I didn't know much about intuition before, but because now I paint intuitively, I've gotten so in touch with who I am in here and not who I am up here, that I now teach like retreats and seminars for women, especially going through perimenopause, because perimenopause can feel like a brain injury. And I teach that creativity, whether it's gardening, cooking, painting, whatever it is, can heal depression, can heal our emotional issues. And I am writing a book, Mr. Sax. I have a book coach. I'm writing my memoir.
How did I know this? How did I know this? And then Hollywood's going to knock on your door and say, we want to make your book into a movie.
Yeah, it's not easy. I have a book coach who I am in love with. He's amazing because I need someone to help me because it's so difficult to write a book.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. But my new YouTube channel has been huge. I just launched it like 3 weeks ago, I think. So it's very new. But I'm making so many friends on YouTube. And it's a great place for me to have more long form videos where I can talk and share and go deeper into my paintings. So I'm really excited about being able to share there.
And you can go to the website again, Carandanis Fine Art, and all, and you can subscribe to receive information from Cheri.
Yes.
And I did it today, and I'm really looking forward to staying in touch uh, to find out more about this absolutely incredible journey that you have been on and continue to be on. Uh, Cheri, I cannot begin to thank you enough for taking the time to be a guest on this show with me, to
It was
to
my
share your stories.
pleasure. I am so happy we connected. There it is.
There
There it
there
is.
it is, that, and to think that, again, you're more of an abstract artist and everything, so to come up with something that resembles
Figure, yeah.
yeah, that is a beautiful piece too.
Mm.
That
Yeah,
that
I
that
mean,
is
I'm a dog lover. I've always been a dog lover my whole life, but they are the dogs of the sea because they retrieved my dad.
Yeah. Do you still go down to the sea and find the seals and
You know
reflect
what?
on that?
Interestingly, I have not been to the coast since my dad died. I've been
Uh,
to other beaches around the world. I've gone to Fiji and Hawaii and Greece, and so I've had a lot of healing at those oceans and beaches, but I haven't returned yet, and I don't know if it's because maybe I'm waiting for my mom and we do it she's just not obviously, she's not ready, it's still so fresh, and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
still so painful.
It'll
Um,
happen.
it will, and I have made my peace with the ocean because the ocean was always healing for me. I loved the
Right.
ocean, but after that happened with my dad, I had a little fight with it for a while.
I don't doubt it'll be a chapter in the book. Yeah.
Yes. Thank God, thank God.
Uh,
It'll all come for full circle. I'm really grateful.
Well, again, I know that you enjoy poetry too, and you have quoted some poets. And I always end my show with Oscar Wilde: "Be yourself, because everyone else is already taken."
Amen.
And that's who Cheri Carandanis is. And boy, I am so thrilled to have met you and shared a discussion with you.
Oh, thank
And I can only wish you the very, very best. And I'm going to spend some time looking in your gallery again. And don't be surprised if we connect again.
Oh, we better connect again. I feel like, yes, we do. I do have a new bestie.
So, so folks, go out, make it a great day. Thanks for tuning into Someone You Should Know, and come back and see us again next time. And also, again, a big, big thank you to a new heartthrob of mine, very much, dear.
Someone you should know.